Good evening, this is Dave Martinson, and I'm a health and well-being coach. It's my privilege to host our Creating Optimal Health series. We decided to do this series to offer another layer of connection and support for our community of folks who are on this journey towards optimal health. So we've been going through Dr. A's Habits of Health book, and we also have the companion guide available, as well as well, actually, so where we are right now, we just started part 2. So this starts part 2 of the book, and it's called The Journey to Optimal Health. And so we're going to be discussing chapter 6, which is your blueprint for safe and rapid weight loss. Yeah, good. This. I also always wanted to share this so as people remember. So this series, we hold this series on the first and the third Wednesday of the month at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. It's being recorded and it will be posted in our Creating Optimal Health Facebook group. You can join us live each first and third Wednesday. So I'm going to share just a couple of slides just because they are kind of introductory slides to kind of get us into go into the chapter. So this is, like I said, this is part 2. So I wanted to show this particular picture because this kind of walks us through this journey of all the different parts. It's a 4-part journey, and through this book, and so in the journey, the path to optimal health, we just finished preparing for your journey. That was chapters 1 through 5, and so. We are now in the reaching your healthy weight portion of this, and so this little graphic is a path to optimal health. So it's the 4 stages that we're. All right, so I'm not gonna. I guess I'll go back to us. For this, if I can, there we go. Okay, so what I want to share right here is this is the path to optimal health, and each one of these phases that I just showed you on that picture, and what they are, to get the idea of through this part of the book, these next, I think it's like 6 or 7 chapters, is going to be going through these phases, and this is all part of this, so phase 1, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight, is comprehensive strategy using medically formulated portion-controlled meal replacements that will put you in a fat-burning state so you can lose weight safely and quickly. Okay, and then phase 2, which will I don't even remember which chapter that begins at, but once we get to that chapter, that is so once you've reached your optimal your healthy weight, and we start increasing your energy intake in relation to your energy output. Diversified eating plans make it easy, makes the healthy eating a pleasure for life. And so these are direct quotes out of Dr. A described this from this chapter, each one of these phases. So phase 3 has the final pieces to create optimal health and life. We look at external and internal factors of eliminating the health-robbing forces of inflammation, and we'll examine your state of well-being in order to align your life with what really matters most. And then phase 4 takes you beyond optimal health in a process that we'll discuss in part 3, the path to longevity. You discover how further reducing your intake off of processed food and substituting nutrition-dense foods enables you to decrease your total calorie and extend your life, which sounds good to me. Extending life, I'm all for that. So like I said, so this is about this phase 1, reaching a healthy weight, is what we're going to be talking about tonight. And so I'm going to share this question. Now, what I did, this next question that he asked, which was, why is reaching a healthy weight important anyway? Okay, and then he gives this list, and I'm gonna just kind of read this list to you guys, and then I want to see afterwards if you guys I don't think there's anything else that could, that could be added to this list. It's pretty comprehensive, but it's kind of a good picture. So the question was, again, why is reaching a healthy weight so important anyway? Number one, it will help you live longer, improve the quality of your life, slow down the aging process, give you more energy and vitality, improve your mental outlook and increase your happiness, improve your work performance, improve your sleep, lower your blood pressure, cholesterol, especially the bad cholesterol, and your triglycerides. It also lower your risk of heart attack or stroke, lowers your blood sugar, eliminates insulin resistance, reverse and possibly eliminate metabolic syndrome, dramatically lower your risk of developing diabetes, or if you have diabetes, arrest or even reverse its progress. Lower your risk for liver and gallbladder disease, lower your risk of varicose veins, deep vein thrombosis, and blood clots, help you breathe better, eliminate sleep apnea, lessen or eliminate asthma, bronchitis, and other lung problems. Also lower your risk of getting arthritis, or if you have arthritis, relieve your pain. Reduce or eliminate the amount of medication you use, increase your chances of becoming pregnant. If you don't want to get pregnant, this is your warning, so be careful. Improve the health of you and your baby during pregnancy. Markedly lower your risk of many types of cancer. Okay, so that's right out of the book. And when you see, if you go back and look at the slides I made, I just took a picture of it and just put it on there, so it's directly from the book, so that I didn't have to retype all that stuff. But so on that list, is there anything you guys can say? Yeah, oh yeah, that happened to me. So are you seeing that being the case? Is there anything you'd add to it? What kind of, as you think about it, what kind of things can you say? Yeah, I definitely that is a piece that's gone through with me and changes that I've had.
I have seen it lower my triglycerides 89 points and lowered my cholesterol 34 points, and also got off the cholesterol and blood pressure medicine. And able to walk and talk at the same time.
Very good.
That's huge.
It is, absolutely.
Did you say 89 points?
For triglycerides, yeah.
Wow.
For me, it definitely helped with taking away pain. When you said perhaps arthritis that runs in my family, and I had a lot of issues with my legs, so that's completely. Also, cholesterol is back to normal, and I see it in the aging factor. People definitely have said, "Oh my God, you don't show 46 or whatever." So it makes my day when that happens. And so mobility is big in my thing, but I think the free pain is the best for me.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, for me, I had it. I didn't even say it on here, but I had fatty liver, and I think I had a high cholesterol, and those are both normal now. So I did not get pregnant though, so that was good.
Oh, thank goodness.
No, but it did give me energy, so some of the other stuff, people tell me I look younger, so I'm going with that to slow down the aging process. I'm sticking with that one. But I think, improve my sleep, definitely. My wife says I don't snore very much anymore. I used to snore really bad, and that's really good. It's just interesting. He had this whole list of things, and as we talk to folks, that's what people people say, yeah, this stuff has happened. This has been changing my life. It's life changing. So anyway, so I wanted to kind of share that list. And then as we get into chapter 6, like I said, it's the blueprint for safe, rapid weight loss. So it really talks about, this chapter is really setting the stage for really, talking about how he came to build this program, the different systems that he came to help us get into a place where, okay, we know what to eat, how to eat, when to eat, all those factors, using the habits of health to help guide it. So as we think back to the habits of health and some of the stuff we talk about in this chapter, you're going to see where he's plugging in some of these things, of where he developed those first, and then he went with, okay, now how do I take those things and make this worth, so people can. So yeah, he asked himself 2 questions. He did a lot of research, years and years of research on diets and everything and all this kind of stuff. And so he came with 2 questions out of that research. One was, what is the most effective way to reach a healthy weight? And his second question was, how can I go beyond weight loss to achieve optimal health and stay healthy for the rest of my life? And those are the 2 things the 2 questions that he had that helped him build the system. So his solution is the healthy system is built around habits of health that give the ability to control the quantity and the quality of your energy intake. Okay, so what does that mean? Anybody? What do you think? I'll read it one more time. His solution. The healthy system is built on habits of health that give you the ability to control the quantity and quality of the energy intake.
Well, they talked about that you have to be at a balance, because the quality is what's going to give you the proper fueling, and the intake has to be balanced, of what I understand, because you said it's going to give you the quality fueling, so your body's going to take that and observe that. And so if you're taking the proper quality, then it's not going to turn into fat. Or it's just kind of like what you put in your car. You put in your car is what you use. Same thing with our bodies. That's the way I see it. You have to put in the fuel that you need to get to point A to point B. The thing is, when we overdo it, then that fueling is going to turn to excessiveness. So that's what I understand from it.
Okay. Anyone else? Bonnie?
Well, if you put a bunch of junk in, then you're not fueling your body efficiently. So you're dragging and you're not working to your optimal potential, and you're not sleeping too good, or else you're sleeping way too much. And it's messing with your blood sugar level. It's going up and then going down and up and down, and then that's harder on your body.
Absolutely. And the blood sugar level is a key thing. So what he says, so in chapter 6, right? So in this chapter, he says you'll learn about the fundamentals behind a healthy eating system, and the system, a system that's strategically developed to change your health rapidly, but with long-term health as the goal. Okay, so and what he does is he says, so our goal is in the first phase is to get to a healthy weight. Okay, and he says we'll do that by lowering our caloric intake below the energy expenditure. So obviously, how much activity you have, you got to lower that, so you're, so that you're not eating, you're not bringing in more food than you're burning. Okay, so that's that control there. Because we're going to alter our food intake in order to create a stable energy source. Okay, and so he says the 2 ways he does that: controlling energy intake, which we just discussed, the amount of calories that we are bringing in. And what Bonnie just said, and he says it as this: managing your insulin pump. Okay, so what he's doing is, and it's a simple process in terms of what he's saying. To lose weight, you need to eat less, burn more. Okay, but now he's going beyond that, right? Because he wants to do this in a healthy way. that's going to establish long-term effect. So this is how he's looking at creating this. So his next kind of what he says, and this is about mastery. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to go back real quick in terms of what we're talking about. He said the word control. Okay, will give us control. And we talked a little bit about this last night in terms of when we think about why we're doing things, why are we trying to get healthy, why are we trying to achieve optimal health? And a lot of us are saying we want control over our lives. And I think that's one of the things. When we talk about microenvironment, which he talks about in this chapter a bit, and we've talked about in the past with healthy habits, is so where we don't have control in our lives, we kind of everybody gets a little, we all get a little kind of bent out of shape and because we're not doing what we want because we want control. We want to go a certain way, but they're not. There are certain ways we can control it. That's what he mentions control in there, and I think it's something that we need to think about because we don't always have control of our lives, even though we like to think about it. We like to think we do. And then when we think we do, we may not still have it. But I think more on the perception of understanding what that means and take that to the different level of I have control over my choices. So when I'm going to choose to eat, when I'm going to choose to eat, what I'm going to choose to eat. So we can take it to that basic level and not think, okay, I got total control of my life. Because we don't. I don't think we ever will. But obviously want to have some say in what's going on. And sometimes we don't. Because our lives are too busy, and we're drawn to this program. Most people are drawn to this program because they don't have that control, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't have time, so I just go through the drive-through and I just eat whatever, and I eat all the time." And these kind of things that they don't have control, and all of us are like that, and I know, and so when I'm not in control, and that's not, I don't like it that way. So this is for me, this plan. He says, okay, well, you're going to have controlling your energy intake, which is really only up to you. It's only up to me. It's up to ourselves to be able to do this. Managing the insulin pump, that's what he's got to teach us. So we understand what that is. Because if you told me that before I read the book, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Is there a pump somewhere? A pump like a tire?
Yeah.
But this is, I understand making choices to control my energy intake, okay? I got to learn about the next piece. But I think that's one of the things. And now what he says next, which is why I say control is important, because the next thing he says is that we got to master something. He says we have to master these strategies. Healthy eating strategies that we learn in the weight loss phase must be mastered, as they are the key towards long-term success. So, okay, how do we master it? And how scary is that? How many things, if you guys think about this, have you mastered in your life that you'd say, yep, I've mastered that?
There's always room for growth.
Yeah, absolutely. But is there? Okay, so I have mastered brushing my teeth.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Brushing my hair.
The proof of that is every time I go in to get my hygienist, dental hygienist, she scrapes my teeth and she goes, "Man, you're so good." She never asks me, she's always like, "You're good. You don't need to worry about it. You're doing a good job. Just keep it up." So to me, I've mastered that part. Okay. Now, I probably haven't mastered it, but as far as I can tell, I'm doing it good. I don't know how to improve it anymore, so I've mastered it as far as I can tell. But how do we, in the rest of our life, have we mastered things? I think Doug's mastered doing dishes over there. It's pretty good. So, but, it's a question if we're going to, because we're going to talk about mastering things. And what does that mean?
Well, for me, mastering when in terms of health is getting better every day, like Bonnie was saying, because like you said, you mastered to where you need to with your teeth. But for example, like me, I feel like I've mastered like staying away from sugars and stuff and being conscious, like I developed that, but I still have to master the frequency of the intake of the every 2 to 3 hours, because of the busy schedules. So I need to master certain habits. So, even though you master one area, like you said, you might say, okay, I have this down. Now I'm going to move on to the next one. and keep building and layering.
Yeah. And mastery is not easy. And so that's an important piece that we always need to remember, because any of us who have been through this program and been able to lose our weight, and some people go, well, that was kind of easy. But I think we talked about this recently, is easy and simple are different. What the doctor has created here is something that's simple, but not easy. Simple part is, oh, do these things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is, you have a list, do these things. That's simple to follow, but it's not easy. And in order to master those things is a big challenge. So he says master, and I just think it's something that we should kind of, because he wrote it in the book, and so he chose those intentionally: control and mastery. So that's what we want. Everybody, as much as it doesn't sound good, I want to be in control and I want to master this. Well, that's what we do. As human beings, we want to master our craft. We want to master this thing. We want to be good at them and to be in control of our lives. Those are important pieces to understand that for yourself, of what does that mean when you are now taking these things that he's about to talk to us about, having control over our energy intake, and then mastering the system, the strategy. Okay. So let's talk about the myth of the 3 square meals. Okay. And I just this is a piece he's building. When he gets to talking about this, he's sort of teaching us how he's coming to these other things. He's coming to eat 6 times a day instead of 3 times a day. So the myths of the 3 squares. It's not. He's got 3 points to this. So it's not just what you eat; it's when you eat. When we feed our body at regular intervals, we're signaling that our body does not need to store the calories. And by adding low glycemic foods, that helps us control our blood sugar level. So remember, like chapter 1, he talked about, our instincts, as, thousands of years ago, where it was, you're using a lot of energy just to stay alive, trying to find food, eating as much as you can because you don't know when you're going to eat again. And that's the way our body is designed. So in doing these things that he's talking about, changing number 2, when he said, the second thing I said was, when you feed our body at regular intervals, we're signaling the body that it doesn't need to store the calories. Okay. And so that's storing calories is when we're eating and you're having a high sugar, your body's in that starvation mode. Okay? I gotta eat as much as possible because I don't know when I'm gonna eat again. And that's that piece. But if you're doing this regular interval, every 2 to 3 hours, your body never gets there. You're giving it just enough food, just enough fueling, just enough the right nutrients, the right amount of water, so that by that 2 to 3 hours, now your body's like, you're like, hey, I'm hungry. And it's not a starvation hungry. It's, okay, I've done the job with the last batch. Give me some more. And then you eat and let's go. And it keeps your body, in this case, when you're on a 5-at-1, it's going to keep you in the fat burn. When you are in a maintenance mode, your body's going to be like, yep, that's what I need. Okay, just keep giving it to me when I'm supposed to have it. And that's how you maintain, because you're controlling your intake. And then the other piece is understanding in terms of controlling your blood sugar. So, which is why when we look at the choices that we are going to make, that we want low sugar, low glycemic food, and vegetables and stuff like this, because it keeps our sugar levels at where they should be. Okay, so these are the things this is sort of him trying to show us, okay, this is what he came to the conclusion of. So when he's when he's trying to come up with the meal replacement plan is based on this information, these premises that he's come up with. Okay. So any questions on that, on understanding, any questions I don't care. Well, how come 3 meals? I think most of us understand it because we've been on the program, like 3 meals, why 6 meals is better. Has anybody have challenges with having 6 meals?
No, but I definitely have experienced the fact that the longer I have between meals, 4, 5, 6 hours, the hungrier I am, and the faster I eat, and the more I eat without being able to, control that. But then by having these meals more often, closer together, it's just you don't have those cravings.
Yeah.
And one of the things that caught my attention when he mentioned about when you eat the 3 meals, you basically are setting your body to become like a fat storage factory. And that stayed in my head. I was like, I don't want to be a fat storage factory. So it's an incentive to be eating every 6 hours. So I move away from that, because it was interesting to me to know what Bonnie had mentioned earlier, the spiking of the insulin, how it goes out of whack, it goes high, and then that makes me into a storage instead of releasing what I need to release. So that was an incentive to eat 6 times a day.
Yeah. One of the things I thought of when the very first time I was introduced to the program, and they're like, "Yeah, eat 6 times a day." I'm like, okay, that seems like a lot. And then I was like, oh, and then I figured out that, wait a minute, every 3 hours, what does that look like? Well, 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, or 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. And then I was like, that's how I ate when I was a kid. I ate, then I went to school, and then it was snack time. So I had a snack. Then it was lunchtime. I had lunch. Then right after school, I had another snack. Then I got home, at home, did my homework. Then it was time for dinner, and then I had dessert. That's 6 times a day. I ate like that until I was 20 years old. Then went out into the world and was like, yeah, I think I'll eat once. And you just like, you don't, all of a sudden, you're not eating hardly at all. And then we all are, I'm too busy. I don't like breakfast, or whatever. And you're just doing drive-throughs and whatever. So for me, I thought about that, and I'm like, well, that's what, and I thought, I've got kids. I'm like, well, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're already doing it right. So as a parent,
And they're all slim.
I taught them all how to eat right 6 times a day. But it did give me that piece to go, okay, I can do that. And so I have no problem. And because to me, I'm like, sweet. I'm like eating all the time. This is great. And so for me, that didn't, it was the easy concept to grasp hold of and go, okay, this one I got how often to eat and what time. I had my little Fitbit. It'd go off every 3 hours. I'd be like, yeah, it'd be like Pavlov. I'd start drooling and run around looking for a bar. So that is what I thought is a good piece for me to as I go through this, to understand that I've got that down. So is it a thing that I've mastered? Oh, maybe it's a system I've mastered, because my body, first of all, now tells me I'm hungry every 3 hours. So in terms of that, I've done a good job with that. So as we go through these chapters, I think that's something we should keep in the back of our mind. Control and mastery. What does that mean? How does that come to play in each of these pieces that we're going to learn? And already even what we've learned before he brought this up. So going back the past 5 chapters and thinking about what we've learned in there, and how us to have maintained control of our intake and master the tools. Okay? So, all right. So he talks about this. So this goes into the science of 6 feelings now. So we heard the 3 myth, the myth of the 3 squares, but now here's the science of the 6 feelings. So it's He just says, what are the benefits of eating small amount of food more often? Okay, so the preliminary research supports the idea that when we eat 3 squares, that when the typical 3 square diet is replaced with smaller, more frequent meals, it can help you lose weight, it can control hunger, it can reduce blood insulin, which is a factor in fat storage and inflammation. It also lowers total cholesterol levels, reduces the bad cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol. It reduces the levels of, I can't even say this word, I'm going to give it a shot though. Apolipoprotein. Whatever that word is about protein, apolipoprotein. I don't think I said it right, but he says that's the very bad stuff.
Protein.
It increases glucose levels, increases bile acid secretion, which I guess that sounds like a good thing. Suppresses free fatty acid levels, reduces serum uric acid levels, which is a common factor for coronary heart disease. It also increases uric acid excretion and reduces, oh man, another one of those words, adipose tissue enzyme levels, and then reduces fluctuations in wholeness.
Yeah.
I gotta learn how to say all these fancy words that doctors use. Anyway, these are all obviously medical terms and things that are happening when people eat 6 times a day versus 3 times a day. So better things are happening. So that's this is knowing all this stuff about these sciences. I'm not going to remember any of this stuff, but I'm knowing that, okay, if you look at the science of it, and Dr. Iz looked at it, and he said other professionals look at it, that, okay, so this makes total sense. Okay. So the next, I'm going to share this slide. Patterns of success. Okay, so they did these studies and looked at what is successful. So eating breakfast, which we know is huge. It's part of our Be Slim, is eat breakfast. They ate a balanced diet, paying close attention to the amount of fat, dietary fat, which we obviously do that as well. They increased their physical activity quite a bit, and they monitored their weight regularly. Okay, so his summary is, so we add breakfast, we lower fat content, we make sure our food is nutrient dense, become more physically active, and monitor ourselves for early warnings of weight regain. Okay, so where'd you guys go? There we go. So with those things, he's able to. He's kind of he's really spelling out, once again, I'm kind of repeating myself, but he's spelling out, look, we're eating 6 times a day, we're eating healthy foods, healthy fats, lowering the insulin levels, keeping the sugars down. And this is all about the research that he's done to really come to these equations. And he comes to that the key to healthy weight loss and long-term, okay, and he comes back again to what sort of we said earlier, it's the ability to master the amount of fuel take in and the quality of that fuel. Now, mastering the quality of the fuel is always the challenge, and that's the beauty of the fuelings that we have through Optavia. So this is an efficient, safe platform. Not only carries you through your initial weight loss phase, but it also sets the stage for a whole new pattern of healthy eating for life. Let's you see how your body's going to respond to a new healthy fueling strategy. So so it's kind of a long chapter, but and basically that's the most of the chapter, talking about how Dr. A came to this plan that he comes up, and we go into it more in the next chapter. But the things that we need to take action on are the last parts of his of this chapter, and because it's things that we have to do. When we talk about mastery, we talk about control. These are things that we can control and they can gain mastery over, so that we can help make so that when we make our choices and we look at why we're doing things, this gives us that control and that mastery of moving towards our goal of optimal health. Okay, and so some of these things become some of those secondary goals that we have talked about in chapters 3, 4, and 5 of how do we get to our goals. And so when we're building a structural tension chart to get to optimal health, what are these things? So what he does is he talks about the logistics of eating. Okay, and so these are things we have control of. So eating 6 times a day, every 2 to 3 hours. So he gives an example of eating within the first 30 minutes when you wake up. We have control over that. We can get mastery over that. It's a new habit we have to create. He talks about then eating every 3 hours or so. So you have that. Let's say you have breakfast at 7. Then you're going to eat again at 10 as a fueling. And then you're going to have your lunch, small lunch at 1. And then maybe at 4 you're eating another fueling. And then you have dinner at 7, you're eating green. And then you've got another fueling at 9:30. And you've got your 6 meals, your 6 fuelings, and you're keeping your body in that state of nourishment. So these are things that we have control of doing. Has anybody had challenges with doing that 6 times a day and eating within 30 minutes after you wake up? And if you did have challenges, have you overcome them? And maybe you can share how you're able to overcome them.
Sometimes what my challenges were is I don't get hungry. So that's when we have to take your advice and set your timer to make sure that you eat within at least 3 hours. Because I could be not hungry and then go too much longer, and then I start eating more than my smaller meal.
Okay, yeah, thanks for sharing, Bonnie. Anybody else?
I know I had a challenge eating breakfast because it would upset my stomach. And so I just kind of had to power through that. And now it's not a problem.
Oh, it's good. Good.
For me, the timing too, I have to literally put an alarm on my phone. And the challenge still that I'm working on, the breakfast one, since I have a big to-do list in the mornings, I'm getting it down to an hour, and I'm hoping to move closer to half an hour after when I wake up. So being more intentional.
Okay. Anybody else? So I'll tell you, so my challenge is during the week, I get up, I eat right away. No big deal. But the weekends, it's not that I'm not eating right away, is that I'm not getting up at the same time during the week. I'm sleeping in, and so then I'm on this schedule that's kind of messed up, and I'm already hungry when I wake up, and now I've got to have that feeling, and then I'm still messed up because I'm hungry. I'm still hungry afterwards because I did not have enough. I didn't have enough to eat. So I just have to, on those times when I do that, I have to figure out how to just sort of adjust. And I try to just listen to my body. It's going to tell me that I'm hungry, that I'm not hungry, whatever. And I have to figure out how to get that meal in. And so I just listen to my body, and then I'm able to go, okay, well, I'm hungry right now, even though it's It hasn't been 3 hours, but I know I didn't eat. When I got up late, so I'm kind of off. And so I just listened to my body at that point. And now, because I understand that was the fun thing, by the way. When the day that I just kind of woke up one day and I said, I figured out that I'm hungry right now. Instead of I'm just eating because it's been 3 hours. I was actually hungry. And I'm like, I don't think I've been hungry in years because it was whatever time. So now I actually know when I'm hungry. So if I don't even need an alarm anymore because I'll be at work working away and all of a sudden I'm hungry. It must be 10:30 and I look at it and it's like 10:28, 10:32 and I'm like, yep. And so then I grab my feelings. So for me, that's always a challenge on those days where I don't get up when I at a normal time. So okay.
So in cases like that, Dave, where you say don't eat until your first maybe 10 o'clock, then do you suggest putting the feelings closer together, like every 2 hours, or because you're not supposed to double up, right?
No, you don't want to double up, only because you need to eat 6 times. And so you don't want to double up because of that. So you can, now if I'm going to go to bed early, you're like, oh, it's Friday night and I partied and I woke up late, but then I got to get up early for mass the next day. So I go to bed at a decent time. I would squish I would bring it down to like a 2 hour or whatever I need to, so that I eat. I'll kind of go, well, I'm going to bed at whatever time tonight, and I'll kind of do the math and say, I better eat every 2 hours. And so I'll do that. And that's whether you're hungry or not, because you're not eating very much anyway, but you still got to get those feelings in. Because if you don't get the feelings in, especially when you're on the 5 and 1, then what happens is your body's going to go and do starvation mode. It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't get enough today. We're already not getting a lot. So then it goes into that starvation mode, and that's why they say you got to get 6 in. Okay. Doubling up, I think that doesn't really help, because then you still later on are going to be hungry and you're not going to be feeling yourself. Okay.
Right, but you're still getting the calorie intake.
Yes, but doubling up, I wouldn't. That's actually a good question to ask nutrition support and see what they might say. If that makes sense. I don't know the answer to that. I don't double up. I just change my time.
Okay, so you think it would be better than to just squish the time together as opposed to.
That's how I do it. It works fine with me that way. But if you're unsure, I shoot an email to nutrition support with that question would probably be a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the next thing so those are logistics of eating, right? And he even says that if you're eating this so often like this, you're not going to have hunger pangs. You're not going to feel lack of anything. You're going to be satisfied, and it's true. I'm never. I don't have these issues when I'm eating. If I eat 6 times a day and it's on my normal schedule, it might happen when I wake up late and then I'm trying to squeeze them in, but that's because I'm missing food already. So that's why I'll change it. If I shorten the time limit, then it works for me. The other part is about macro environment of health, and he goes into a lot of stuff on this, but the main thing what he's saying is you want to create your external environment. You're creating an internal environment in terms of, through the program that Dr. A is talking about and how we're going to eat, how many times we're going to eat, and what we're going to eat. But outside of that, it's your environment. What is your environment like? How the control you have over making your environment better for you. Okay, so he calls it a microenvironment of health. So one example is, so he says reduce your refrigerator. Okay, so look in your refrigerator and get rid of your whole fat dairy products. That's milk and cheese and butter and yogurt and cottage cheese and mayonnaise. Get rid of your processed deli meats and your bacon and your sugary sodas and your beer and your wine and your foods that are high in calories or fat or sugar, including peanut butter and jelly and salad dressings, stuff where you can have low in low fat, low calorie dressings. And then he says, good, now fill your refrigerator back up. He says, put fat free or low fat dairy products such as skim milk, soy milk, low fat cottage cheese, and low fat yogurt. Low fat protein such as lean chicken and meats and tofu and hummus and eggs and fresh fruits and vegetables and frozen fruits and vegetables for your freezer. Condiments such as mustards, pickles, and vinegars. So he's basically telling you, take a look at your fridge, see what's in there. And you want to have healthy options in there. You have control what you put in there. So that way it'll make it easy for you. If you got all the yummies in there that we've always wanted to have. If I've got peanut butter and I got a spoon, look out. So, not having those makes you then choose something else. So you don't have it. And so it's really doing that to your refrigerator. And I know we did that to our refrigerator. Kids were not excited. The other stuff that we still had at the house, we still do have peanut butter at the house, but it's been a long time since I had any peanut butter. It's my favorite food in the world, but I just don't eat it anymore. But the kids have it for their sandwiches and stuff like that, and it doesn't. I'm not running over going, oh, I need to have peanut butter. I just don't. I've created new habits around. So then he talked about perking up your pantry. So he's like, in your pantry, you want to get rid of your white rice, your white flour, your white bread, hydrogenated, vegetable oils, including hard or semi-soft margarine and shortening such as Crisco, refined cereals. Whole grain is okay. Get rid of your flavored oatmeal, your candy, your cookies, your cakes, your muffins, your chips, your crackers, your pretzels, and your peanuts. Fill your pantry back up with brown rice, canola oil, olive oil, natural, non-flavored oatmeal, whole grain, high fiber breads and pitas, whole wheat flour, walnuts and beans, and a variety of spices and herbs. Okay, so who's done that? If anybody done either of these two things, the refrigerator and the pantry, just really went through it and said, I'm getting rid of all this stuff. I'm filling it up with different things.
When I did it, my kids hated me. They're like cookies. And so, I mean, I actually had my son ask me, what would our life be if my mom wasn't a health coach? There's no more Doritos, there's no Oreos, so I did the refrigerator right away, above it and in it, because above it I would put it to hide it. And of course my 7-year-old would get the way to climb up, so now it's gone. And then slowly I did the one about the pantry with the rice, brown rice. My family would come in and say, are those roaches in that rice? Because it was like the whole food. And I'm like, no, it's good. And once they tasted it, it was fun. Even the extended family would clown me. Like I had put bugs in the rice because now it's brown and had all these other good things. I didn't care. It was, they love it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Doug, how about you? You do either of these two? You're on mute.
Yeah, I was saying, hold on, I'm on mute. I got to figure this thing out. I want to apologize at the beginning. I thought I was muted by you guys when I logged on. And Sherry gave me a little heads up that, I was background noise. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to be a distraction. To be quite honest, I don't have enough. Like, I don't have anything in my refrigerator or anything like that to throw anything on. I only have pretty much just Take Shape for Life food in my home. I don't even I don't have cereal, so I don't drink the almond milk. I make the shakes with water.
So basically you're saying yes, you don't have all that
well,
stuff.
I didn't replace anything. I didn't clean anything out. Well, I guess I did at the very beginning, 3 years ago, I guess I did. I didn't really consciously think about that, but
Well, you don't buy
I don't
that.
have any of that stuff anymore.
Right. Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So the next part, he talks about cleaning up your kitchen behaviors. Okay. So I'm just going to read these. So he says, put away the cookie jar or food triggers that are sitting out on the counter. Okay. Smaller plates support smaller portions. Put your regular dinner plates in the back of your cupboard. Bring out the 6 to 9 inch salad plates and use those. Never stand or walk while you're eating. Take time to sit down at the table. Buy some blue placemats and plates. The color blue has been proven to decrease appetite, while red and yellow increase it. And it says, guess what? Let's see. Let me see. Blah, blah, blah. Never use serving bowls on the table. Place your meals in the kitchen using the 9 inch plates. Turn up the wattage. Bright lights have been shown to make us eat less. So those are just key little factors that help create an environment that's going to help you. It's going to help us. And this is based on science and research and all that fun stuff. Sherry, so when we lived over on Crestview and you painted the dining room wall red, not a good idea. We needed to paint it blue.
Okay.
So these kind of behaviors, and I do that. I do the 9 inch plate. So when I'm gonna have dinner, I grab a little tiny plate. I don't even do a 9 inch. It's a little tiny plate, and I put my lean on there. So it looks big because it's not a tiny plate. But there's no room for anything else. So I actually put my salad and vegetables on a different plate or bowl, which I'll actually usually be bigger than the other platter. So for me, I get the right amount of vegetables and the right amount of lean protein when I do it that way. So kind of taking some of this and sort of massage it the way it works for me in terms of the size of the plates and stuff. And then whenever like in the summer, we get paper plates for everything because you're eating in the backyard or whatever. I always try to buy the ones that have the three little sections on it. So get the big piece. I'll put my piece of protein in there, and then I fill up the other two, and they're smaller. So like for me, like I'm gonna have some rice, and I take like if I remember correctly, it's like about a tennis ball size is about the right serving. I actually do what I do is I just use an ice cream scoop, and I scoop the rice out, and I take and try to make it about the right size. It's usually about 1.5 scoops seems to be the right size for me, and I'll put it in there. And then then whatever the vegetables will take care of the rest. So it allows me to make sure that I'm not like lumping on all the rice in this giant place of rice. Instead, I just put it in that little section. So I just find ways to do that to make sure that my portion sizes are correct. Okay. Anybody have any other tricks of the trade that have helped through those kind of things? Sherry? Nobody has any tricks. Come on.
Well, it's kind of not exactly in this area, but when I get the rotisserie chicken, then I try to weigh out that amount, my 6 ounces, so that I don't sit there and eat more.
Yeah.
Because without weighing or measuring, you have no control over how much you're going to eat. And to start with, I wasn't eating enough protein because I thought that I was just assuming it was smaller. In other diets, you weigh the stuff when it's raw, and then after it's cooked, it gets smaller. So I wasn't giving myself enough protein. So now I make sure that I have enough. And when we get big portions, then I put it all in baggies and stick it in the freezers. That way I can just grab the right amount.
That's good. Yeah, because you need to it doesn't say it on this particular thing, but you need a food scale.
Right.
And you know how to use it, and put a plate on it and have it be the right, so it weighs the plate at 0, and then you just put the food on it, and then it weighs. So
Well, plus what happens is then you're used to seeing that much. So when you're in a restaurant, you know what that size looks like, so that you can just ask for a doggy box and put it away right away.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so go on to readying your bedroom. So he talks about, you want an environment that optimizes sleep, okay? And it's because the quality sleep is crucial or critical to good health. So he says, organize your bedroom and put away the clutter, okay? Don't watch TV in bed. If you have a TV in your room, remove it, unplug it, get rid of it. Choose a bedtime that allows you to get 8 hours of sleep and stick with it. Keep your room cool while you sleep and never eat in bed. So no more breakfast in bed. So it's these small things you have control of changing that will help change your some of your habits. So I've shared with this when I was sharing my primary goals with you guys. So I went through our bedroom, and I got candles everywhere, and I got soft music, and I've got lights that dim, and so we can have soft lighting. And we don't have a TV in the bedroom, and pretty much we just sort of said, okay, take all the books out as well. In terms of this is a place for sleeping and this mindfulness opportunity and this kind of peaceful place. And with 4 kids at home, it's a loud place. So it's a place to retreat, to get good sleep. And I've used it also, like I said, so we have a couple of recliners in here so we can relax and have some mindfulness time too. So it's that environment that we've created for sleep. It works really good for Sherry. She walks in, lays down, she's asleep. So that's good. It takes me a little while to fall asleep. It always has. It takes me a long time to fall asleep. When I was a kid, it took hours. Well, it felt like hours, but it took at least an hour. But it helps. The soft music helps. Just to really put it in a place so that it does allow that relaxing, so I can get that quality restfulness. Okay. And then the last piece that Dr. A has in here about this is creating a journal. Okay. So I didn't read very much about it. It's just one short paragraph on it, but I wanted to talk about a journal so I keep a journal, and Sherry keeps a journal. We're not talking about diaries, and they're talking about a journal. So I write down stuff, whatever's on my mind. For me, it's first and foremost, there's in terms of healthy habit, to write down what I've been eating. And and of course, when you're on a program, you get a little booklet that allows you to mark off, okay, I ate 5 times a day, and I have my lean green and so those are good habits so that you remember, and you sort of it's creating a new habit by going, okay, all right, look at me, I'm successful. I did what I'm supposed to do. I ate enough water and all that stuff. Now I don't do that because there's no need, because it's a habit. I just eat all the time, like I'm just eating. Right? But I'm eating, it feels like I'm eating all the time, but it's just every 3 hours. And I try to take 15, 20 minutes to eat every time. So it's not just like, oh, here's a bar and I just gone, and I take the time to do it. But in the meantime, in terms of healthy mind and just really being present and emotional and intentional, I started keeping a journal when I was in college. And I was a resident advisor, and my resident director said, "You need to keep a journal." I'm like, what is that? And they sort of taught me how to do this. and I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way, but I just write down stuff. And in that way, it's not in my mind. If I'm like, oh, there was something, I just go back to my journal and go, oh yeah, I got to do that, or here's a thought I had. And so if I have concepts, I'll write my concepts down and then look at those and be like, oh, those are bad concepts. I got to change those. And that helps me find where I need to develop personally. So when we talk about personal development, I can find, I got this list of things that are that I'm writing down that are not so great in terms of helping move me forward. So I know I can do some personal development to help remove those. Other times I'm writing stuff down and I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. And, it just helps me keep the stuff out of my brain. Otherwise, and that's probably why I can't sleep. I'm like, okay, I got to do all this stuff. I didn't do this today. Tomorrow I got to do this. I got all this stuff. And I got 3 days from now, I got to do this. And instead, if I'm able to get that stuff out of there, then I can be present in conversations with my family. I could be getting to sleep easier because I'm not concerned about all the things that are on my mind because I know I wrote them down. I can think about them later. And so it's a really good tool just to jot stuff down. And then just take a look at them. Don't just write them down and forget about them, but look at them because you're going to see changes in what you're writing down as you go through the process of getting towards optimal health. And when we talk about it being intentional, we talk about what matters most. So you can write that down on one page, and then every day you just go in there and write. You're like, that's what I wrote yesterday, and now with this, I see it this way. And rewrite it as you're learning how to describe what matters most to you. And then answering questions. I'm going to do this as well. Why am I going to do this? What am I trying to learn? Am I committed? All these things that you're going to, as you're learning and as you're developing, that these things help you, guide you. And so they're your own tools and your own thoughts that you're able to put down and then come back to. And it's very important. It's a very key factor in helping you develop because like we talk about in structural tension, you have to know your current reality. If you know where you are, then you know where you want to go. My grandfather used to say, if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. And it doesn't seem like all that profound, but it is absolutely. He used to walk really fast. He was like 94 years old. He's zooming down the road, and we're like trying to keep up with him. He's walking really fast. Grandpa, why do you walk so fast? Because I got somewhere to go. So it's like, all right, that sounds good. But there's also there's also a time to meander. And why not? So it's these kind of things that I will write down. And I'll think about stuff that my grandfather said. And what does that mean to me? How do I understand? Why is that something that stuck with me all these years? It's like 4 or 5 things I can always remember that he said. And they affected me as a kid. And I walk really fast. And Sherry and my kids don't like it because they're always trying to catch up to me. Why do I walk fast, Dad? Well, my grandfather walked fast, and my dad walked fast. We had to keep up. Plus, this is what he told me. So that kind of stuff. So how does that in my life help me be mindful? How does that help me move forward in what I'm doing when I'm saying what matters most? I'm trying to get there. A healthy emotion, healthy sleep, healthy eating habits. All the different pieces of the healthy habits. So as Dr. A has continued to build from from his chapter 1 all the way through where we are now, and understanding, going through all the healthy habits and kind of getting that idea and understand that those are the foundations of our fundamental, the foundations of our fundamental goal, which is optimal health, and getting to this, which is the first step. How do we then reach that? By getting ourselves healthy. And so that's what we're trying to do throughout this book, is learn this path that Dr. A's created for us. And we can do it robotically. Okay, I do what you tell me, coach, and blah, blah, blah. But if we're not learning, then when it's time we're like, hey, I lost all this weight, now what? And if you haven't been learning and helping your mind get these new habits, and now it's like, okay, we're going to transition you, and we're going to go through these steps. And now all of a sudden that's really hard because you didn't catch on. And also your behavior hasn't changed, is that you were, for myself, I'm no longer a 243 pound man. I'm a 180 pound man. I'm a 70 pound different guy. I can do different stuff now. It's different. You're different. 70 pounds is a lot. So how then, if I didn't learn that and know that, hey, this is where I am now, my current reality is that I am a healthy bodied person. I have to set new goals. I have to reset my current reality to understand that and have that mental peace. So then I have new goals now. What am I going to reach for? If we don't do that, then we're back to square one again, because we're not going to, the whole key point of Dr. A's thing is that we need to change not just our eating habits, but the whole mindfulness piece and understanding where we're going. And in all 8 categories of our fundamental health are important. So we have to, it all builds on itself, builds and builds and builds. But he put it in simple enough terms to catch on if we choose to be mindful and present and intentional about what we're doing. And all of us who have become health coaches because of it, there are pieces of that caused us to want to go help other people because of what we learned and how it impacted our lives. So it's important for us to know that in our own health journey, as well as coaches, that we can help our clients reach that. So then they will have that opportunity to go, wow, this is a lifetime journey for me, and I'm just on track doing my lifetime journey, and it's good. Instead of, oh, well, I lost my weight, I'm there, I'm out of here. Okay? So those are the pieces that we have to really kind of pull together from Dr. A's book that we're studying and trying to move forward and, master some things and control some things and really have an understanding. So, any questions? Okay, so I'm going to so our next session is part 2, your journey to optimal health. It's chapter 7, and the chapter is called The Catalyst to Reaching a Healthy Weight. So that's on Wednesday, April 26th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. You can join us live each first and third Wednesday of the month. Thank you for your attendance and participation, and we will see you in 2 weeks.